Yeah, try it again. You were gonna give a countdown, then you didn't. So we don't. When you see yourself here, though, you start.
Okay. Welcome to Beyond the Gun. I am proud to say that we have an excellent program this evening, and it's African American women in the forefront of the struggle in the age of Trumpism. Rarely do we have discussions where we focus the 100% attention of what we're doing on African American women. And I am so proud today to have three very professional, outstanding, brilliant, young African American women as the panelists. First, we have Dr. Kim Delaney, African American Studies Department, Chicago State University. We have Dr. Karen Douglas from the Gilead Behavioral Health Clinic. And we have Professor Attorney LaRoma White, Kennedy King College here in the city of Chicago. And today, there are two key words, African American women, and we're using Trumpism to the extent that that is the era in which we're in. But women, African American women, we've had problems, you know, from Sojourner Truth to Fannie Lou Hamer, right, and we still got them.
That's right.
And we want to focus today on African American women. Where are we? What are we doing? What should we be doing? Dr. Kim Delaney, I'm going to you first.
Okay, where are we? Well, I call it the era of 45. I don't even say the name. In the era of 45, I think everything is just uncovered.
45 meaning the era of Donald Trump.
Of him, yes.
That's right. I want the audience to know.
Okay.
At 45, you think you're calling numbers on TV.
45th president of the United States. And so I think all he did was uncover what was there, what was already brewing and evident for some of us who study America and the social sciences. He uncovered a lot of the feelings of people that had never left.
Racism,
all of it. And
white supremacy.
White supremacy. When he speaks, sometimes it
chauvinism,
seems like he's still in slave time.
And sexism, and because we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about the problem that women have. Women, we had problems under Obama, and certainly under George W. and George the one before him. But at the end of the day, we are going into a new era, and these are times unlike others.
Just blatant.
Dr. Douglas, what do you think about Trump? We're talking a little bit about what's your reaction to him, how does it affect African American women, what should we be saying and doing?
I think as Dr. Delaney said, that he has really just been open and honest and kind of said things that people wanted to say for a very long time.
Like what are some of the things?
The racism, you know, the blatant acts against women, the sexism, just his whole view of the disabled, you know, those that are underprivileged. He has just openly said what many people have felt for many, many years.
Yeah, I think a lot of women, you know, even before I think that he took the oath, he had made some horrible comments about touching women and grabbing them and using some very profane terms, and that upset a lot of women, and not just African American women. But you were right. What are some of the things that have really concerned you in terms of the sexism and in terms of the racism that he has promulgated?
You know, I think for Donald Trump, the things that he has just blatantly said about women, making some of the vulgar terms that he's used to describe women, those are the things that women today should not have to deal with, but having a leader, the ultimate leader, to be able to say these things and then have no remorse about it, he's really opened the doors for other people, white supremacists, people that are about segregation and racism, to be able to openly say what they want to say without any repercussions. Because if the ultimate leader is doing it, why can't they?
Attorney White, I mean, you have been in this business a long time. You are not just a professor of criminal justice over Kennedy King College, but you've handled sex discrimination cases for a number of years. You've been involved in that type of litigation. What's your feeling about in the era of Donald Trump, and let's say racism and sexism, what are your views?
Well, Donald Trump has made his views clear. He's very open about it. He doesn't care what anybody thinks. He is only presenting a more intense obstacle than that we've had to bear anyway, as a people and definitely as women. So
what have we had to bear? I mean, and we have a lot of young women and young men watching out there, and so we got to be a little case specific with them.
Okay.
What have you, as an African American woman, and your experiences before and after? What have you had to bear, and what are you still bearing because of your race and sex?
Well, first and foremost, racism. It's I came along during the 60s, and at that time I still didn't want to believe it was real, but it was real, and it smacks you in the face, and it's disappointing, and it's hurting, and unless you are very strong and very determined, you won't get beyond just focusing on the problem. But I do think one thing that Donald Trump has done, he has put forth a strong force that says we're going to survive this and we're going to get beyond this.
Who's
no
we?
matter the African American women, African American people.
And you think that African American women post Donald Trump or before Donald Trump have become sensitized to the point that they're willing to organize around the sexism and the racism that they're hearing, particularly in the context of white supremacy and all of that?
I think absolutely they are. I think that they have been, that they always have been, even in the 60s. You know, black women have always been in the forefront of the movement. The movement didn't go away because Donald Trump got in office. The movement is just going in a direction to deal with the current problems that exist under Donald Trump. The racism, the sexism, the chauvinism, all of it.
Dr. Delaney, what are you teaching African American women in the university setting in which you work about their dilemma, not just in the era of Trump, as African American women? What is it that you are putting into their minds that they should or should not be doing, and where they should or should not be going?
Well, I don't particularly say what they should and should not be doing, but what I do, what undergirds my perspective is that Donald Trump, I have an appreciation for Donald Trump, actually, because I like truth. So I like that Donald Trump just boldly said, he's just that ignorant to just boldly say what he feels and what he thinks. I appreciate that about him. So that other people who thought it was gone or who have been tiptoeing can see boldly what we're dealing with. So for me, I don't teach, I teach a black women's class, Africa and the diaspora, but I don't teach kind of what we should be doing for 45. I teach basically about American structures, because that's what he represents.
American what?
Structures.
All right,
structures
what is that?
in this. Different systems in this, like the system of racism that exists here, and that never left. It's bold and empowered, and it still exists. Sexism, right? And so for me, he doesn't offend me. He doesn't surprise me, because he, as you said, he was honest. He doesn't offend me. You know what offended me more was that people elected him. I was offended by that. The next day after that, I was offended because it said to me, it was a bold, in-your-face statement about where this country is and what these people think of me as a woman, think of me as a black person, as an African American. It said what this country feels about me. That's what that election of him said. He doesn't surprise me. I think he has. You know, I've read some things that he has psychological problems. He doesn't surprise me at all. But what more surprises me is the people who are going along with him, that there
Dr.
could
Douglas,
be a majority.
You are in the area of behavioral science.
Yes.
And you deal with people who have, and first of all, you're a psychologist. And you deal with people who have psychological problems, and you deal with subtle discrimination and not so subtle, and you deal with people in the public domain. I mean, what's your feeling today when we look at him and we look at what he's projecting? Donald Trump is projecting to the universe and to the world, and projecting how does it affect African American women? Is it negative? Does it do something to them that it doesn't do to other groups, or are they just in a big pile of women?
You know, I think what Donald Trump is doing to the African American women, especially our young women, he's really trying to perpetuate a sense of low self-esteem and a low value for who they are and what they can be. And I think that as African American women, we have to begin to model to our children, to our young women, that regardless of what position he has or anyone else has, that he does not dictate their value. Because if we allow our women to continue to be in a position where they're downplayed and they're just kind of put in where they just are not able to see who they really are, then we've lost the value as African American women. Because what we have to understand is, for a very long time, African American women were the cement to the family, you know, and because of some of the things that are coming along now with the drug abuse and things like that, with the domestic violence, that is beginning to tear up the core value and fiber of our families, and we cannot allow that to continue to be so by someone that wants to see us as a people and families and communities to be torn apart.
Attorney White, you teach criminal justice, and you've been in the system over at Kennedy King for quite some time. And criminal justice is very important for African American women. You know, I go over to the county jail and I visit the tiers where there are African American women. What is it that you see vis-a-vis African American women who are incarcerated, or African American women in general in the criminal justice system, who may feel that they are blindsided by the racism of the system, and they're double blindsided by what Trump is doing or reinforcing? I tell you what, before you start, we're going to wind down and take a break. Dr. Kim Delaney, Dr. Karen Douglas, Attorney Larama White. We'll be right back.